have former Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith with us this morning, and we want to bring him in via Zoom and say good morning to him. I've seen his tracksuit and everything. Getting another tick in the win column. Yesterday we saw the article in the newspaper where the headline said PM within rights to launch firearms probe, but FUL audit report stays out of Parliament. Now, there are certain things within the article that I think need to be, explained a little further, because in reading the article, and we could start here, the judge, Justice Devendra Rampasad, said that the Prime Minister did have a right to set up a committee. He did have a right to launch an investigation. However, there are certain things that he did not have a right to do. So could you elaborate on that? And he back and ready to go. Morning, Mr. Griffith. What's going on?
Morning. It's a Hugo Boss rally, just by the way. It's a Hugo Boss tracksuit.
Well, I see that while we're talking about tracksuits and track records, your track record in the court seems to be getting another tick in the win column. Yesterday we saw the article in the newspaper where the headline said PM within rights to launch firearms probe, but FUL audit report stays out of Parliament. Now, there are certain things within the article that I think need to be, explained a little further, because in reading the article, and we could start here, the judge, Justice Devendra Rampasad, said that the Prime Minister did have a right to set up a committee. He did have a right to launch an investigation. However, there are certain things that he did not have a right to do. So could you elaborate on that? Okay.
The country will recall that what I wanted and I pushed for is that, remember, I was in the National Security Council. I was a Minister of National Security. My 5-year-old nephew knows that any government can do an audit. So this was not about us saying that we want to stop an audit. You can do an audit. What if the country will remember what I was pushing for is if you want to do an audit, don't go in Parliament and hide like a cow.
Explain a little further, because in reading the article, and we could start here, the judge, Justice Devendra Rampasad, said that the Prime Minister did have a right to set up a committee. He did have a right to launch an investigation. However, there are certain things that he did not have a right to do. So could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. You hear me okay, Stefan?
Yeah, I'm hearing fine, yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. So let me clarify. The Trinidad and Tobago PNM Express newspaper totally misled the country. And you know what happens a lot is that people do not read. If it is that you go and you read the order by the court, 100% of what was written at the Express at the headline was 100% inaccurate.
Okay.
The country will recall that what I wanted and I pushed for is that, remember, I was in the National Security Council. I was a Minister of National Security. My 5-year-old nephew knows that any government can do an audit. So this was not about us saying that we want to stop an audit. You can do an audit. What if the country will remember what I was pushing for is if you want to do an audit, don't go in Parliament and hide like a cow. You can do an audit. What if the country will remember what I was pushing for is if you want to do an audit, don't go in Parliament and hide like a coward to read out the lies that the audit may have to discredit your political opponents. What Keith Rowley was trying to do was Emailgate reloaded. The one place you can go in this country and lie to discredit persons and not be affected and not pay the price is in Parliament. That is what I sent this court order was about.
Right.
Me going there was about it not going to Parliament, and I won. So let me just clarify everything that the Express left out. So it was not about the audit. We knew very well that anybody could do an audit, but you cannot do an audit, hire civilians, go into the police service, and then try to discredit people, not speak to the individuals, and then go in Parliament like a coward to discredit the individual. Every single request we made was won. If you go to the order started from the court. They should not be published to any party other than the Commissioner of Police. So the request that the Prime Minister wanted to go to Parliament, Keith Rowley failed. The court blocked him and said, hey, pull up, you were wrong. They then went on to state that the claimant is given the claimant must be given an opportunity to be heard. It then stated, should no investigation ensue, that the prohibition would be absolute, meaning that the audit is now dead. All they could do with this audit is send it to the police if you feel a crime was committed. And let me tell you, if they do that, and there's nothing, because what I've heard about the report, it is typical PNM. The report it is alleged, it is rumored, and we have. The court also stated that there was a breach of the rules of natural justice and fairness in relation to the claimant. And imagine the AG in his pathetic release had the audacity to say that natural justice was not affected. So the AG misled the country because his release was totally in contrast to the fact.
Right.
The order then went on to say an injunction is granted restraining the defendants from laying or causing to be laid any summary or part to Parliament. Rowley, in other words, was blocked from doing what he wanted. It then goes on in 163 that the court became alarmed that the executive exerted power to send persons in a team of ex-police officers at that who no longer subject to the police service rules and regulation to investigate police records. 8, they are obviously related to the operations of the police service and ought not, in this court's view, to fall into the hands of the executive. The court is saying that the government had no right to have hired civilians, take them into the police service, extract police service records, and give it back into the hands of the executive. They also stated that the permission of the Commissioner of Police, it was the unchallenged allegation by the permission of the Commissioner of Police, which means that McDonald Jacob, in their view, had no right to have allowed these civilians to go into the police service to extract private records. But they also stated that this has now become the property of the Ministry of National Security, part of the executive of the government, and the court wishes to express its deep concern with that position. So the court is saying that they were wrong. This has also opened the avenue now for the FUL dealers to sue and take action now on McDonald Jacob, the police, the Prime Minister, because you have now infringed on their rights of privacy by hiring civilians who are so incompetent they did not understand that the fundamental aspect of an audit is to, if you're doing an audit, you must speak to the person in charge of the organization. So they were either incompetent or they had an agenda. So I asked the country, read the court ruling. It is 100%. And you know when it is, you know if you win or lose a matter, when it is you have to pay damages and you have to pay legal costs. Do you think it is the taxpayers are now going to have to pay me legal costs because I won every single thing that I asked for? Keith Rowley failed, he lost, Gary Griffith beat him hands down again.
Now you mentioned something here that is of grave concern and was of grave concern to the judge himself. Because I'm reading here, it's about the police records that were investigated by these ex-police officers, and these police records now ending up in the possession of the National, is it National Security, the Ministry of National Security?
Correct.
That's private and confidential because the TGPS is an independent organization. Therefore, those records, I mean, who has the authority to investigate those records or even look into those records?
The Commissioner of Police. So that is why he had no right. There's a contractual agreement between the firearm dealers, the firearm holders, and the police. Right. You can't bring in civilians based on the directive of politicians to go into your police station and extract information of a confidential nature to get the names of people who acquired firearms. And that is the point the court is saying. So the Trinidad and Tobago PNM Express, they were wrong by trying to mislead the country to state that the judge rules against Griffith. The judge did not. What the judge is saying that anybody in National Security Council could have an audit. You could have your audit if you want, but you cannot go to Parliament. You cannot hire civilians to go into the police station. The commissioner cannot and should not allow them to extract the information. You cannot submit the audit any further because of you breached natural justice. And if it is that you have an audit and you did an audit, all the things you requested that you wanted to do, they blocked him. And they stated that if it is you feel that there's some criminal activity, take it to the police station. So there's nothing that the court said in contrast to what we wanted. What we wanted was to state you cannot go to Parliament like a coward. The civilians had no right to get the documents. The commissioner had no right to have given it to him. You have no right to have done an audit without speaking to me, breach of natural justice. Every single thing that we asked for, we got full approval. So the Express, PNM Express misleading front at heading is in total contrast to the order of the court.
To what the order says. There's one issue I have here though, where the judge dismissed your contention that the Prime Minister acted in bad faith by forming the committee because you were a political opponent, and the judge said that this was illogical since you had not yet entered the political arena. However, while you had not, or you may not have entered the political arena at the time, you were seeking to be reestablished as commissioner of police. So how come they didn't look at that aspect of things?
Yeah, correct. And we could have easily reminded them of that, but that is not for me to do. The end of the day, what was put in the order of the decisions made, which should have been in pages 65, 66, and 67 of the court order, and I can forward it to you, and the public has a right to see it. It will show that after all of that, the decisions that they made confirmed that what I said was that what we requested, the court adhered to, and that is what is critical. So the fact is, what usually happens is that it's typical to landate, for example. If it is that you breach natural justice, the landate matter was thrown out.
Right.
In this same matter, what we were telling the court is if you breach natural justice here, the audit itself should be null and void because you breach natural justice. What the court decided to say is, look, you see, if they did an audit, let us not try to do like if we're trying to infringe on the rights of the National Security Council. Any NSC or part of cabinet could do an audit. So what the court decided is that instead of throwing out the audit, they said, the audit cannot go any further. They were wrong in how they did the audit. The commissioner was wrong in allowing the civilians to get inside. The politicians were wrong to hire civilians and get them into the police service. The police service were wrong in trying to, imagine Earl Christopher has been using the police officers as an Uber, transporting these 4 civilians all over the country to drop letters to firearm dealers demanding questions to be answered. These dealers are now going to take these auditors and Earl Christopher and the police, the government to court. So with all of that, this is what the court has stated, that they were wrong in how they did the audit.
Yeah.
So what they said is, don't throw away the audit, because suppose something in the audit has some matter of criminal information that could be sent to the police. So I agree with the court. And so what the court has stated, don't go to parliament like a coward and hide to release. And the court said, why are you going to parliament? There's no reason to go to parliament to reveal an audit. If the audit has recommendations that could amend parts of the law for the firearms, excellent. If the audit states that somebody broke the law, then go to the police station. But the auditors cannot do that, because you can't go to a police station with a report of, we have heard and we have been told and it has been brought to our attention. That is what the PNM they love to do. Hire persons, pay them big taxpayers' money, and then probably have them write what you want, and then wave your flag and go in parliament to mislead the country with lies. They failed miserably. The court agreed to and for a court to state that a prime minister acted in an irrational manner, for a court to state that he had the politicians had no right to hire civilians. The court stated that they should not have gone to the police station. The commissioner had no right to have given them the information. You breach my natural justice. I mean, every single thing that we requested, we got. And that is why it is, sadly, you, the taxpayers, will now have to pay Gary Griffith my legal costs.
Wow. Papa, you. And that's on 2 levels, right? Because they appealed. This was, I mean, you won in the lower courts, and then they appealed and took it to the high court.
No, right. So what happened, again, the Attorney General has proven to be the most incompetent and clueless AG in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. When we first sent this, we realized that they wanted to rush it to Parliament before the court had made a decision. So we filed an injunction to stop it from happening, knowing fully well we'll win, which we have. And they lodged an appeal. In the appeal, the injunction was held, and they still couldn't take it to Parliament. This clueless AG does a press release to state that they won, but the taxpayers now have to pay me all of the money I spent in my legal fees for that appeal. So you lose the appeal because the injunction remained, but you lied to the country by putting a press release to say that you won. And he has done the same thing again in his press release, because the Prime Minister probably called him in his embarrassment, because Gary Griffith has won every single thing. They are alarmed at the executives exerting power. They are alarmed of ex-police officers going in to get rules and the regulations, breach of the rules and regulations of the police service. They are alarmed about the investigating police records, the commissioner giving access. They said it cannot go to Parliament. Every single thing. So what the Prime Minister did, he rushed the AG and said, send out some misleading release in the hope that my PNM till dead people will not understand that Gary Griffith has beaten you, knocked you out in the first round yet again.
Just shifting gears a little bit. The president, Paula May Weeks, the former president, because we're going to have a new president, did she say recently that the merit list, she wants it to remain confidential?
Yes, she had an interview and she stated that she would like to keep the conversation she had at President's House with whoever confidential. That is her right. But I could tell you one thing: when I become part of government or in government in 2025, the first thing that I am going to do is to have a commission of inquiry into this matter with the merit list. So Paula May Weeks, Keith Rowley, you could run, but you can't hide, because in 2025, you will not have the cloak of privilege, where it is you feel that you have a get out of jail free card as president and prime minister. I intend to have a commission of inquiry over that merit list. You know, we have commission of inquiries over all sorts of nonsense, but that merit list fiasco is 10 times bigger than your Section 34 and all of the commission, all the things that we have had over the last few years. But sadly, the public has accepted it. We have accepted what is known as democratic dictatorship. We must know, and it is very simple in this commission of inquiry. We are going to speak to the 4 previous Police Service Commission members. And if 3 of the 4 stated that they never withdrew the merit list, it means that Bliss Sipasad broke the law and the police should deal with her. If it is that they stated that they never suspended a commissioner and she alone did it using the letterhead, she broke the law. And then when she now goes on that stand and we ask her, were you pressured, intimidated, harassed in any way by any politician to have caused you to break the law? And she agrees, then we can take action on that individual. And Paula May Weeks will also be brought up to, because she also, based on either incompetence or deliberate sabotage, or on 2 occasions, she did not adhere to the law. The fact when Anand Ramlogan won his case, she was supposed to take the acting list of the merit, the acting commissioner list to Parliament. She refused. When Anand Ramlogan took us to court, she still could have submitted it to Parliament. She refused. So it's because of her that I no longer remained as acting commissioner and Jacob was acting deputy commissioner, because she failed to do her job. And she's a judge and didn't understand the law. The second time, all she was supposed to do by law is to forward the merit list. She did not adhere to the law. Those are grounds for a commission of inquiry, and she will be brought up upon that stand, and she will be forced to answer those questions, because your president cloak to prevent you from facing the courts because of what you have done to this country will now be removed. And now you'll be a civilian, Paula May Weeks, and same thing with you, Keith Rowley, and you will be forced to answer what it is you have done. You have done this country grave injustice by what the 2 of you all have done to this country.
Yeah, because just real quickly here before we run out of time, we saw that we had the highest murder rate ever in the history of the country in 2022, at the end of 2022, over 600 murders. We have a new commissioner of police, finally, first female commissioner of police. I would imagine that you are familiar with the person, especially when you were there. She would have, been in the service. And I wish her well. I think anybody who wants to see crime decline will wish any commissioner of police that takes over, they want to wish them well, because we want to bring down the crime rate. But 2 things that she said over the past 3 weeks, over the past 3 weeks or so, raised a few eyebrows. One, that the murder rate will decline by the end of June. And then to follow that up, yesterday, she was saying that, the crime plan apparently is divine intervention. So I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts so far on the new commissioner of police and her approach?
Well, I still wish her well. I still intend to give her my support if she requested. I have told her this because I would like her to succeed. What is interesting is that people such as the Member of Parliament, Julian John jumped up and says, yes, she supports Ella Christopher's crime plan. And when other people supported, when she said she's going to reduce crime in June, Julian John and others said they support her crime plan. And that's why I asked Julian John now, Julian, what is the crime plan? Now we have found out what the crime plan is, because Ella Christopher never mentioned any policies, plans, procedures, technical utilization of IT systems, nothing. New units, nothing at all.
No.
So now we found out the crime plan is to pray. And as much as that is true, it is amazing that a criminologist such as Ramesh Diosaran has the audacity to endorse what Ella Christopher stated, and the president of the Welfare Association. It is mind-boggling. So is it Trinidad and Tobago that up until August 2021, when I was there, There was the highest reduction in every crime in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Crime went down to the number 4 considered the country behind health, education, and the economy. Is it that evil wasn't stalking the land when Gary Griffith was there, and now all of a sudden evil has stalked the land? It has nothing to do with lack of prayers. It has to do with the concept of God helps those who help themselves. We have to go out there and take the fight to the criminals.
Yeah.
But you see, what she's doing, she's Stephen Williams in herself. Stephen Williams did the exact thing. When it is he was clueless, because many of these senior officers are administrative. They're behind the desk, they have the garbodies, they have the cane. They are not tactical, they're not strategic, they don't understand law enforcement, they don't understand proper the aspects of hard strategic fighting and taking back the country. So what they do is they stay in the administrative office. So Stephen Williams, and what is what she's doing now, you're going to blame society, you're going to blame the criminals, you're going to blame parents, you're going to blame teachers, you're going to blame the community. You're going to be manipulated. You're going to blame it. Just now they're going to blame it on the rain. And that is what they're doing. They're finding every avenue to point fingers at everything else. And now she's using God. So your Ramesh Yusran is the first criminologist in the world, because the role of a criminologist is to do interviews and understand the cause of crime. This man is saying that she is right because we need to turn to God or else we can't reduce crime. It was proven that we did, because we had the procedures, the people, the policy, and the will to turn it around. And we can do the same thing as it pertains even to school violence, if I could quickly add.
Yeah.
That problem we're hearing about school violence, why did this not take place in the 3 years when I was commissioner of police? Because don't say about COVID, because school was open before. And what happened is that I did a lot of work in understanding how the police can operate. What we are doing again is a knee-jerk approach, putting police patrols outside. Good God, do you really think that people are going to fight if a police vehicle is out there? But that is after the fact. What we are doing is I worked comprehensively with the Ministry of Social Development, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Sport. We had things such as the Commissioner's Cup, using sport as an avenue to turn young people away from a life of crime. It is known as secondary crime prevention, taking their energies and turn it in the right direction. We also formed something known as Crossroads, where it is that we were having 1,000 police officers trained to be able to be a big brother to 1,000 at-risk youths. We had something called Street Talk, where we were getting police officers to go into the core communities, into the street corners, play basketball, hang out with the young persons, and turn them away from the life of crime. Working with the Ministry of Social Development and Education, we are going to put in, the average citizen will know they've seen 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, 30 of the most at-risk schools, and putting in covert operative police officers inside the school to pinpoint who are the perpetrators, who are the troublemakers, who are the individuals who are selling drugs, trying to influence people into gangs. That is the proactivity we want. Those are the things we need. But this Police Service Commission decided to bypass all of that and put Erla Christopher as who they saw fit. And granted that even though she placed 19th out of 22 in 2018 by a UK-trained, qualified law enforcement expert, this Police Service Commission has seen it fit to say that the person who should be the individual to lead the police service, her biggest crime plan is that we need prayers.
Well, Gary Griffith, thanks a lot. We're out of time, but thanks a lot for your comments. And thanks a lot for the information on the school issue in terms of some of the programs that existed, because I know a lot of that has been scrapped since you've left.
All have been scrapped. Everyone.
Yeah. And I think they need to do something, because what we see in playing itself out in these schools, it's not a nice look, and we're not heading in the right direction unless we could do something that is effective in order to pull these young people back. And that's not to say, I mean, there is a lot of positive things going on with a lot of young people all over Trinidad and Tobago. It's not highlighted enough. But what we're seeing, the negative that we're seeing, is a frightening thing moving forward, especially as it relates to what that is looking like and what the crime rate is looking like. So just thanks a lot for the information. I'll be chat soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right.